Today's topic, the expansive promo problem. Welcome to another episode of TABLEscraps, in which we present a topic related to tabletop gaming and then have a brief conversation about it with the live audience. Let's not waste any more time listening to this weird intro music. Let's get right into today's discussion. Hey there everybody, and welcome back to another episode in our month-long experimental daily series, TABLEscraps, where we will discuss a topic about the tabletop gaming and board gaming and card gaming whatnot that's been presented to us by a viewer in our live streaming chat. And today's question comes to us from Christian Gienger, who asks us the question, what is the difference between promos, mini expansions, and expansions? And are there any? I don't know. That's a really good question, and I realize that it's a really fine line. You know, a promo can definitely be considered an expansion. An expansion can be issued as a promo. So what are the differences here? So what I came up with, my incredibly definitive official list, was that, first of all, promos. Promos are usually special content that's made available for a game, either at an event or by a special offer. And in my experience, promos sometimes can be unbalanced. You know, sometimes the promo is made for the sake of making a promo, and it's not thoroughly play tested, and as a result can, if used in a game, be incredibly broken. As opposed to expansions, which are usually additional content that's created for a game that can sometimes stand on its own as its own standalone game, but usually requires the base game to play and to use it. Many games, whether they need them or not, seem to have expansions released for them. And so the expansion has, where it used to be kind of this weird oddity back in the day, it has become almost the norm in current hobby gaming. Almost every game that can have an expansion at one point or another will inevitably have an expansion. Now, you mentioned a third item on your list of mini expansions. Now, mini expansions, that's something we haven't seen before. That is something sinister, an idea that is not of this world. That's a fancy way of saying, I don't know, I never thought about it. Because if a mini expansion is too mini, does that just make it a promo? Or is it the method by which it is distributed that makes it a difference between an expansion versus a promo? At this point, I had lost interest. But I am in luck because the live chat is here to save my skin once again with their ideas on this topic. So let's turn over to the live streaming chat and see what they have to say. Zachary sets the record straight right off the bat by letting us know that promos should be free giveaways, mini expansions are things that were clearly missing in the first game, and expansions add new aspects or mechanisms to a game. Zachary, I like that you filled in the missing gap there in my logic, that a mini expansion is a thing that's going to fill in the gap of something that, whoops, we left that out. We needed an extra character, or we needed to fully flesh out that mechanism. That is probably a better, more accurate explanation for mini expansion than anything I could have come up with. So I think you nailed it right there, right off the bat. Steven says, promos are small items that enhance the current game as it is. Expansions can change the game and add more to the gaming experience. They usually add rules and add players, etc. So, yeah, maybe a mini expansion is like a deleted scene, whereas a full outright expansion is more like a sequel. That could be a really unnecessary analogy that we could come up with to explain it. And so thank you, Stephen, for putting that in my brain. Nicholas joins us to say, I think there used to be more of a difference, but companies have been blurring the lines. Promos were small run for events or offers, and expansions tended to be for retail. But then you end up with Kickstarter exclusive expansions, which aren't for retail, or promos that end up in the BGG store. I think that's true. I think there used to be more of a differentiation, and I think as the gaming hobby has evolved and grown more mature, those lines have become blurred, and I think they're almost interchangeable at this point. So I agree, Nicholas. I think that the way you explained that there and the reason why, totally legitimate. Kabuki Kid mentions, my favorite mini expansion is the Nations expansion from the Manhattan Project. It gives each player a unique nation with a power that only they can access, and it adds a nice flavor to the game. That does seem like it would add a nice extra layer to the Manhattan Project to just kind of further flesh it out a little bit. So I like that. I'm going to have to keep an eye out for that one, definitely. Trevin mentions that promos should not affect the game. Unlike expansions, they shouldn't add new mechanisms. For example, characters in King of Tokyo, like that Iron Rook that you always lord over us. Jerk. Oh, am I always lording my Iron Rook King of Tokyo figure over you guys? Why, I hadn't noticed that, and I'll be sure definitely not to do it in this episode. Steven also mentions, I'm looking forward to the Red Raven promo for Islebound from Man vs. Meeple's fundraiser. It's a ghost ship! Oh, you can never have too many ghost ships. Ghost ships are one of those things in a game that there was just, Anyway, ghost ships are fun. Sasha mentions, the difference between promos and expansions is availability. If you can only get it from special events, deals, or from specific distributors, retailers, well then it is a promo. I like your comment, but deep down inside, I want to argue with you about it. But I don't think that my argument is strong enough to hold water. But basically what I'm wondering is, that all makes sense. But then, what if an expansion has a limited run? Does that then make it a promo once that it is no longer available? Have I caught you in a logical fallacy there, Sasha? Or am I full of beans? Let me know in the comments below how many beans I am now full of. And in the meantime, we'll continue on to the next beanless comment, which is from Nicholas, who says, I like the chainsaw promo for Adrenaline, because how can I have the full first-person shooter analog experience without a massive chainsaw? Interesting fact, though, that kind of dovetails back into the original conversation. I also enjoy the chainsaw promo for Adrenaline, but I have heard from several different independent sources that the word on the street is that the chainsaw promo is overpowered. And that plugs right back into the unbalanced nature, potentially, of promos. Do you think that the chainsaw promo is overpowered? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see if we can get kind of a vote going. Because so far, almost unanimously, what I've heard is that it's a little too powerful. But maybe it's just the people I play with are whiny because I am chopping them up with a chainsaw while we play. Ethan joins us to say, I like promos that are extra characters based on real people, like the various Dice Tower and Watch It Played ones. It's always interesting to see how popular those promos based on people are. Sometimes they can be the most popular promo in a set, and other times I've heard that people kind of find them distracting while they play, and it pulls them out of the gameplay experience. So it's always, like I said, it's always interesting to see what people are drawn to and why. Kabuki Kid mentions, the promo cards for Sheriff of Nottingham are a lot of fun. I think those special cards add a lot of flavor to the game, so I have sought them all out to spice up my game of Sheriff of Nottingham. I agree, and what's really neat about the Sheriff of Nottingham promos is it seems to me like those were developed over time by people who were playing the game. Instead of just being pumped out, we need to put this guy on this card and ship that out, or we just need a promo for this event. It seemed like they evolved over time by people saying, what would be cool is if we had a card that did this, and then they had the opportunity to and made the promo about it. And I think that has really improved the quality of those promos that are available for Sheriff of Nottingham. Trevin further clarifies some of the things we've talked about here by saying that promos, by definition, are promotional. They increase awareness, like adding celebrities such as Will Wheaton and Felicia Day to every single game, no matter how loudly I scream. I hope I did your comment justice there by adding the increased tone there. So there we have someone who actually is kind of the other side of the fence there, saying that sometimes those promos that have real people on them can be a distraction because there's just so many of them and they're so omnipresent, it seems like. But you make a good point that promos, by definition, by the very word, are promotional marketing tools. And that might be a good way to differentiate between the two, as the lines between what's a promo and expansion continue to become so blurry. Not blurry is the clarity of Roman's comment, which is, expansions are made for people who own the game. Promos are made for people who haven't bought it yet. Well, that is a really interesting way to look at it. And I had not thought of it that way. And yeah, I can see that. A promo could definitely be something to spark your interest about a game because of the special nature of the promo that maybe you wouldn't have been interested in otherwise. So I like that twist on the problem there. Our final comment comes from Ethan, who says, yes, it's a good point on promos being intended for those who don't own the game. But does 1 or 2 extra cards or whatever really make you want to go out and get the full game? Well, that is a really meaty, big, good question. And one that I don't know. Maybe it varies from one game to the other. It's going to vary from person to person. It's also going to vary on the quality and content of the promo itself. I think it's going to have to be something that's taken by a case-by-case scenario. But it's also a good opportunity to ask the question, have you ever been enticed to actually go out and get a game that you didn't have yet because of a promo that you obtained? If so, let me know what the promo was, what the game was, and what it was about it that sparked your interest enough to go out and get the game. Tell me all that in the comments below, and that might become fodder for a whole other discussion, which maybe we'll have on an upcoming episode of Table Scraps. I jumped right to my ending there without the middle. And in addition to the comments below, you're also welcome to come by the Pair of Dice Paradise Facebook and Twitter pages and post your ideas and continue the conversation on this topic over there as well. And before we go, I just wanted to thank everyone who's been supporting Pair of Dice Paradise's fundraiser page over on PodPledge. It's been the support of viewers just like you that's been making episodes just like this possible to continue doing. So thank you for that. In the meantime, I've been Chaz Marler, who, along with the live streaming YouTube chat, has been serving up some table scraps. Thanks. I'll talk to you again soon. Today's topic, the pensive promo problem, which I didn't do that right, did I? The expansive promo postulating problem, that's not it either. I'm just gonna do that one more time because it's awesome to do the same thing over and over again all morning. That's my chainsaw. I think that's sign language. Is that American Sign Language for chainsaw? If it's not, we need to make that a thing. With a little picture of a drawing of Trevin crying with real tears. Oh, it's gonna be my favorite episode ever.